Welcome back to Ford's Herbal Medicine Diaries. Today we're going to be talking about the CDC and its claims that vaccines do not cause autism. So I know this is such a hot topic nowadays. We have the anti-vaxxers, we have the pro-vaxxers, and we have those in between, people who are undecided. So today I just want to shed a little bit of light on vaccines, some studies that were done, and these lawsuits. Um, this network called Informed Consent Action Network filed against the CDC. So let's get into it. It says CDC concedes in federal court it does not support its claim that vaccines do not cause autism. So this article came out 4 days ago, March 5th, 2020. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It says that in a federal lawsuit filed by the nonprofit Informed Consent Action Network, also known as ICANN, the Center for Disease Control has conceded it has no scientific studies to back up its long declared assertion that vaccines given to babies do not cause autism. The CDC claims on its website that vaccines do not cause autism, but despite this claim, studies have found between 40 and 70% of parents with an autistic child continue to blame vaccines, and they typically point to vaccines given during the first six months of life causing autism. So last summer, this network, ICANN, submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to the CDC for them to relay all studies relied upon by the CDC to claim that the DTaP vaccine does not cause autism. So they also submitted this same request for hepatitis, Hib, PCV13, IPV, as well as requesting the CDC to provide studies to support the cumulative exposure to these vaccines during the first 6 months of life do not cause autism. Despite months of demands, the CDC failed to produce one single study in response to these Freedom of Information Act requests. ICANN was therefore forced to sue the CDC in federal court, where the CDC finally conceded in a stipulation signed by a federal court judge that it has no studies to support that any of these vaccines do not, in fact, cause autism. Right? And then there's some links here that you guys can look at if you want to look into it more. And it says, in a stipulation, the CDC was only able to identify 20 studies, one relating to MMR, a vaccine ICANN did not challenge, 13 relating to thimerosal, an ingredient not in any of the vaccines ICANN queried about, 5 relating to both MMR and thimerosal, and 1 relating to antigen, not a vaccine exposure. So it says the result of the studies, they did a comprehensive review for these studies, and the result was that the IOM could not identify a single study to support that DTaP does not cause autism. Instead, the only relevant study the IOM could identify actually found an association between DTaP and autism. So it says, in other words, the CDC listed a review in response to the request that proves that there are no studies to support that DTaP does not cause autism. It says, when it comes to autism, vaccines are the one suspected culprit that the CDC claims to have exhaustively investigated. However, they cannot provide one single study to support that vaccines given during the first 6 months of life do not cause autism. The most recent data from CDC shows that 1 in 36 children born this year in the USA will develop autism. Wow. This is a true epidemic, I agree. If the CDC has spent the same resources studying vaccines and autism as it did waging a media campaign against parents that claim vaccines cause their child's autism, the world would be a better place. So I'm not going to read the rest of it. But some people, will read this and they're still not convinced. So let's go a little bit deeper, right? So let's check out this study done by Harvard. So it says, Harvard psychology researcher committed fraud, U.S. investigation concludes. And this came out in 2012, right? So they've been knowing about these fraudulent studies for a while. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It says, former Harvard University psychologist Mark Hauser fabricated and falsified data and made false statements about experimental methods in 6 federally funded studies, according to a report released yesterday by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Research Integrity. Hauser, who resigned from his Harvard position in 2011 after an internal investigation found him responsible for research misconduct, fundamental differences, deliberate misconduct. I'm gonna go down a little bit here. It says he did work in humans and monkeys, which probed the biological roots of cognition and morality. It says his work fell under a cloud in 2007 when members of his laboratory brought concerns about his research conduct to Harvard officials, instigating a 3-year internal investigation. It says in the report released yesterday, they identified 6 instances in which Hauser engaged in research misconduct in research funded by the National Institutes of Health, specifically 2 unpublished experiments, 1 manuscript, 1 study of how well rhesus monkey comprehend human gestures, a study published in Science in 2007, and it just goes on and on. But in case you're just like, oh, maybe that's just a one-off, let's go a little bit further. Here we go, University. So it says, let's see. Responding to whistleblowers' claims, Duke University admits research data falsification. Right? So let's read. Let me accept the cookies. Let's read a little bit about the fraudulent behavior that Duke University was engaged in when it came to scientific studies. So it says, in-house investigators at Duke University believe a former lab tech falsified or fabricated data that went into 29 medical research reports. Lawyers for the university say in their answer to a federal whistleblower lawsuit against it. So this is a trend. So these universities and these scientists, not all of them, but some of them, have been engaging in falsifying and fabricating data, and people have been saying this for years and have been labeled conspiracy theorists. But now that these people are being sued, they are in court that these people have been fabricating and falsifying. So thank God for the court systems. So it says Duke's admission concerns the work of someone by the name of Aaron Potts Kent in a probe. It began in 2013. So once again, this was years ago that they know about people fabricating and falsifying scientific data in these major journals that go out around the world to mislead the people. It says the university's lawyers have tried to get the case dismissed, but in April, so they're trying to cover it up. But in April, a federal judge said that it can go ahead. Right. So it says, let's see. Let me go down a little bit more. It says upfront, the lady actually admitted that fake data wound up being included in various publications and even using this data to get grant applications to further falsify data with federal money. It says Potts worked in a school of medicine lab led by Michael Foster, a now retired pulmonologist. Wow. She operated researchers used to gauge the lung function of mice in projects seeking insight on human respiratory ailments like asthma. And it says that they received $112.8 million and $120.9 million to do these studies. Whoever did the lawsuit says that he invokes the Federal False Claim Act, which a whistleblower can use to alert prosecutors to a potential fraud. But wait, there's more. So these fake research studies are not just in America. It also was found in the UK. So here's an article from the BBC. It says fake research comes under scrutiny, and this is from March 2017. It says the scale of fake research in the UK appears to have been underestimated, a BBC investigation suggests. Official data points to about 30 allegations of research misconduct between 2012 and 2015. However, figures obtained by the BBC under Freedom of Information rules identify hundreds of allegations over a similar time period at 23 universities alone. So these other allegations, they could have been dismissed, or maybe there wasn't sufficient evidence to take it to trial, or maybe they were handled outside of trial, but there was hundreds of allegations of research misconduct. There are growing concerns around the world over research integrity. And it says it is vitally important that people have confidence in research that is paid for by public funds. So um, the people are paying for these studies and they're being lied to and deceived, which is crazy to me. It says where research has been found to be fraudulent at a later point, it has a big impact on the public. It leads to mistrust. Of course it does, because why, if it's a scientific study, isn't the point of science to provide a non-biased results? So if you're performing an experiment and it doesn't necessarily lead to the conclusion that you want it to lead to, you still should report that as a scientist. Aren't there like ethical and moral codes that you should abide by? But I guess that just goes out the window when when some of these people are doing these studies. They just want to get the results they want to get and falsify data. um it says requests by the BBC under Freedom of Information rules show that at least 300 allegations were reported at 23 of the 24 research-intensive Russell Group universities between 2011 and 2016 among staff and research students. Wow. So even the students were doing it as well as the staff. That's crazy. About a third of allegations of plagiarism, fabrication, piracy, and misconduct were upheld. More than 30 research papers had to be retracted. And then it says, commenting, a spokesman for the Russell Group said, our universities take research integrity seriously and work continuously to help staff and students maintain high standards of research. I hate these sort of blanket statements that these people come out with when they've been found to be doing some very serious, heinous things. Like, you're just going to come out and say we take our research integrity seriously. I don't want that. What policies are you going to implement so that we can rebuild the trust between the community, if it can be rebuilt at all? Like, where is the tangible plan? I don't just need some empty words. Our universities take research integrity seriously. What does that even mean? Anyways, it says the UK has a global reputation for the quality of our scientific research. Okay. It says we do not have accurate figures that are available, so all we can have is that confidence that the research is being conducted properly, and when it's not, there is a system that challenges that. So that's after the fact. Wow. Okay, but let's continue. Now I'm going to a government website. It's called hrsa.gov, and this website follows statistics for vaccine injuries. So vaccine injuries are basically injuries or genetic mutations or some sort of mishap that happens that has actually been proven to be caused by a vaccine, whether it be autism or something else. So let's look at the numbers real quick, because numbers don't lie. So these statistics were reported from the year 1989 up until 2020. So it says petitioners award amount. This is how much these vaccine companies have paid to victims of their vaccines. And the thing about the thing about these vaccine courts that they have, these people, the victims, they are forced to sign like non-disclosure agreements where they cannot talk about their case. They can't talk about how much money they specifically won. They can't talk about anything pertaining to the case. So when these people have actually proven in the court, in some type of court, that they were actually victimized by a vaccine, they are not able to share that with the general public. But these numbers show that this is actually a phenomenon. So 1989, 1 million, 1990, 53 million, 2000, 125 million paid out to victims of vaccine injury. 2010, 179 million. 2015, $204 million. Let's go on. 2018, 199 million. 2020. We are only 3 months into 2020. They already paid out $73 million. Like, this is crazy. Like, so far, I don't even know what that number is right now. I'm not even going to try to do the math, but they paid out so many numbers, so much money to victims of vaccine injury. So, and then there's more. I can go on and on. There's so much evidence and so much data to support um the network, the ICANN network, who actually filed the lawsuit against the CDC for false claims. So my question is, the CDC has been going around saying for years that they have all these studies to show that vaccines are not related to autism. However, when their feet were held to the fire, they were not able to produce not a single study. So my question is, what happens to all of these studies that the CDC claimed that they had? Were they part of these studies that were retracted, perhaps, from all of these researchers who were found to be conducting fraudulent studies? Or were there ever even any studies to begin with? Like, I just find it crazy to me that they could not produce one single study. So I'm gonna get off my tangent because I can go on and on. But my charge to you guys is, whether you agree with the information or not, you can't really not lie about numbers and these universities being found in courts to be conducting fraudulent studies. And also, you can't say anything about the lawsuit that the ICANN network just won in the federal court against the CDC. So my question to you and my charge to you guys is to just do your own research. You know, whether you choose to vaccinate your children or not, just do your research. Find out exactly what is in these vaccines. Look at these vaccine injury reports. Look at the numbers. I don't know if anyone can get a hold of any of the court documentation, which you probably can't, because they have that stuff under wraps and they have very powerful attorneys to make sure that that stuff stays under wraps. But if you just dig a little bit, you'll find all sorts of things. So with that being said, please share this video. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a blessed and healthy day. All right.